All right, hey patrons and Susan, welcome to Tactical Rifleman, and we are going to do our war story for the month of February 2019. I was trying to come up with an idea for a war story or just story time, and wandering through the man room, I saw this little thing right here. This is a United Nations patch. Believe it or not, this has been cut off of the shoulder of one of my uniforms. Carl, we didn't know you were in the United Nations. The way the UN works, and I hate the UN, they send troops all over the place, and I don't know how much they're getting paid now, but back in 1994, they were paying each UN soldier $1,000 a day. That's per soldier. So a lot of other second, third world nations, they love to send their troops on UN missions. Now, the U.S. never gave us any of that money. The U.S. would always turn down that money, saying that our soldiers are not mercenaries and everything. Oh, okay, fine, I understand that. Bill Clinton even planned, he threatened to back out of the UN. God, I wish he had done it. But anyways, he didn't. So this story takes place back in 1994. My A-team was part of our company mission in Kuwait. We were supposed to do 3-month rotations. Well, and of course, at the end of those 3 months, everybody's looking forward to getting home to their families. That's what we wanted to do. Everybody wanted to get home. My A-team ended up, they needed one A-team to stay longer. Company commander said, hey, we're going to have your team stay. You're the best team for the job. Okay, so we stayed an extra month in Kuwait. Pissed all the wives off. We finally get to come home, and one of the other companies from our battalion was actually down in Haiti. This was when the whole elections were going on in 1994, 95 time frame. And these guys are getting into gunfights down there and everything. Just the locals are protesting, doing everything. And the company commander down there in Haiti requested reinforcements. He said, we need more help, send another A-team. So even though there's 6 A-teams per company, and there's all these other companies, your team is the best team for the job. We got sent down to Haiti, and we were told, you're going to be down there for 5 months. So we were supposed to be gone for 3 months. We're going with 4. We came back, and like a week later, they're saying you're going to be gone for 5 more months. So anyways, we loaded up all of our gear, and we went down to Haiti. Would you be a happy camper? Would you be happy to be there? Would you be wanting to win hearts and minds? Nada, not at all. We hated it from the minute we landed on the ground. So our plane lands in Port-au-Prince, and we're told you're going to drive this convoy up to Cap Haitian. It's I'm assuming it's the capital of Haiti. And that's where the actual military base is. And then from there, they launch all the A-teams out to little safe houses in different cities and everything. If you don't know a lot about Haiti, Haiti is part of a island. Half of it's Haiti, half is the Dominican Republic. And you can be in a helicopter, you can be on an airplane, and you can tell the difference between the two countries, because Dom Rep is a paradise. It's tropics. It's great. And then you look on the other side of the line, and there's Haiti. It's a fucking shithole. I mean, it's a shithole. They're giving Donald Trump a hard time for saying it, but Haiti is a shithole. It's a shithole. So why is it a shithole, right? They got everything, right? They got electricity, everything. We're in Cap Haitian, and they've got the electrical factory there, and driving the convoy up, we're kind of stuck in traffic, and I'm eating an MRE, military meals ready to eat, my little military ration. I'm eating my MRE, and there's a girl on the side of the road. She's, give me some food, give me some food. I'm like, no, how about no? She's like, I'll show you my tits if you give me a MRE. Like, I just left my wife 20 minutes ago. What's wrong with this country? You know, MRE is $3, basically, $12. Anyways, everybody passed on the road, just $1, just $1, give me $1. And I'm like, okay, right off the bat, we realize this is a poor country. How poor is it? Well, remember I said there's an electrical plant there in the major city, but as we drove out, you get the area studies and stuff, and they say, well, electricity is sporadic as you get further out. Weather, knocking down power lines, who knows? No, that has nothing to do with it. Electricity is sporadic because if you lived way out, let's say a small town called Grande River de Nord, GRDN, which was the town I was going to, didn't matter if you paid your electrical bill. Didn't matter if you paid double on your electrical bill. The electricity couldn't get to you because at night, even though electricity often worked during the day, at night, everybody would take a wire, they'd bare the ends of it, and they would throw it up over the hot power line to steal electricity to run their light bulb inside their little mud hut. And people were dying every day from getting electrocuted. It's hilarious. But if enough people pirate electricity, didn't matter if you paid your bill, if you lived far enough out at night, you didn't have electricity. So anyways, our big convoy, we had generators, we had tons of gear and everything. We get there and like I said, we got given, GRDN was our little town, and we were supposed to work out of that safe house. And we get there, and there was an A team there from third group, a scuba team, and they had just gotten kicked out of country, literally kicked out of country. I think they were going to jail because they had took all the op fund and bought Christmas presents for their families and shit. So anyways, we show up at this house, and the whole side of this safe house is painted like a scuba diving flag because they were a scuba team. The house was being rented by the UN. It belonged to a priest or a school teacher or something. And generator, we show up with all of our gear. There are two, basically they're called house boys. They basically are interpreters, but they run errands for you and do everything. And then we had two PSYOP, psychological warfare soldiers assigned to us that spoke French. There were U.S. Army troops that spoke French. Why French? Because that's what everybody spoke there. Everybody spoke French in Haiti. Now, if you'd gone to schools, the schools now teach exclusively English, so kids that had been to school could speak English, but a lot of the older people couldn't speak English at all. So anyways, we had two interpreters, and then we had our houseboys. Now, the one houseboy, his name is Joel. Joel was awesome. Typical Haitian, but this guy, I'm bow-legged, all right? Joel was bow-legged. I mean, like curved like banana legs from just having a shitty diet when he was a kid. Joel was awesome, loved America. He had actually swam from Haiti to Cuba once, literally swam the whole way, tried to get on a boat. There was no room on the boat, so he swam from Haiti to Cuba. He got to the beach in Cuba because he wanted to get to the American sector so that he could immigrate to the U.S. The Marines ended up rounding him up on the beach, and they sent his ass home on a boat to Haiti again. Poor kid, great guy. Hope he someday made it to America. I really do. He's a great guy. But we get there, and a safe house. I had a little room that I set up an aid station in, and you're sharing rooms with people. Rats running everywhere, mice, chickens, screens over the windows to keep most of the mosquitoes out. But it's the tropics, but it's still a shithole. Three female cooks. They're all, I guess, late teens, early 20s. You ask them, hey, can you make me a ham sandwich? And they take a slice of ham, 2 pieces of bread, and force it down in the toaster, almost start a fire. these are our cooks and they can't cook. I just don't understand this. I found out afterwards, they actually asked Joel, after about being there for 3 weeks, Joel comes up to us and he's like, Carl, the cooks want to know why you all are mad at them. And our captain's like, what do you mean? We're not mad at them. They're not good cooks, but they do their job. They clean up and stuff. No. They want to know why you're mad at them. I'm like, Joel, what are you talking about? The old A-team would always have sex with these girls, and that's why they had the job. And now none of your guys have tried to sleep with these girls. So that kind of, we figured out how they got the job and stuff. Scuba team, that's all I can say. So anyways, they realized it wasn't that we didn't like them, it's my whole team was happily married. Besides the whole place being a shithole, our little, we call it safe house, we had bunkers set up, so if we had to defend the place, why would you have to defend the place? Because a lot of people didn't like having the UN there. They didn't like having Americans there. And when they looked up at the hill at this old priest's house, we had everything. We had lights on at night. We had tons of food. We had functional vehicles. We had everything. Now, Haiti could be paradise. If you got rid of all the human beings there, Haiti would be paradise. Every tree in Haiti bears edible fruit, or it's mahogany that you can make stuff out of, furniture and stuff. They had bananas. They had oranges, lemons, all kinds of stuff. And this is just inside our little compound. These are literally every tree there bared fruit. It was amazing. I loved it. But you drive around and you'd have to drive all the roads. Have the rivers that run through, and you turn one corner on the winding road, and the road followed the river, and the guy would have all his ox and cows in the river just shitting everywhere, and he'd be squatting on a rock taking a dump right there in front of us while we're driving down the road. And then you turn the next corner and the women are there washing their laundry on a rock, and they're filling buckets of water to go cook with. And you see what I'm saying? They have no grasp of sanitation or the fact of separating certain types of water. There was no clean water supplies. Everybody drank out of this river. So besides dysentery and all these other diseases that we had to worry about, we had the threat of malaria, which if you've ever been in a malaria endemic area, you've got to take drugs for it. Now, these drugs suck. Whether you're taking chloroquine, mefloquine, drugs like that, some of them give you crazy dreams. We call them Mefloquine Monday. You take your Mefloquine and you knew you were going to have crazy dreams that night. A lot of the guys would say, oh, I can't take it. I'm allergic to it. They're just saying they don't like the bad dreams or stuff like that. So they wanted to be put on doxycycline. That's a alternative drug, but it basically does nothing for malaria. So they're taking doxy the whole time. It's just a terrible place. Why were we in Haiti? We were in Haiti to make sure that the elections went off smooth. There were all these different political parties, and there had been a coup earlier, and now they were having their new UN observed and overwatched public election. So there were all these different parties, and our job was to go around and make sure that the voting booths were secure and that one party wasn't bullying another party and everything else. So remember, we're supposed to be there for 5 months. This sucks. But our one saving grace was if one party won 50% of the vote, then it was good to go. We could go home. But if they didn't, because there's like 5, 6 different parties, if one party didn't get at least 50% of the vote, they'd wait 30 days and they'd do another vote. There was no end in sight. So, you might go home in January. But if they don't get 50%, well, then you might go home in February. You might go home so they were telling us April. We were not happy campers about it, not at all. No, not at all. One good part about the UN was they fed you well. Now, the other troops, Pakistani battalion, I think even the Bangladeshis were there. The other countries had UN forces there. They're getting all the money, $1,000 a day. We're not getting nothing. They wanted us to wear these baby blue berets. They gave us UN berets. Yeah, I'm not even wearing my green beret in that country, and you want me to wear a baby blue beret? How about no? So we had boonie caps, baby blue boonie caps, and what my team ended up wearing was we had baby blue baseball caps, and then we had to sew that godforsaken patch on our shoulder of our uniforms. Yay, rah, rah. But the one great thing about the UN was they spoil the boys good with chow. About once a week, we would load up a couple pickup trucks and we would drive down from GRDN, drive down out of the mountains, and we'd go down to Cap Haitian where the main base was. We'd go in, and the cool part was there were phones there, AT&T. Now remember, no cell phones, no sat phones back then, so we'd go to the AT&T tent and we could call home for like $9 a minute. Right? But the food was awesome. They had a chow hall we'd eat while we were there, but after that we'd go by the UN distribution center, and I remember I had one A team, so there was like 12 of us. I think I had actually 10, 11 guys on my team. We had our two PSYOPs guys attached to us that could speak French. And that's it. There were no other Americans with us. So you're looking 12, 14 Americans. Every week, every 2 weeks when we would go down, they'd give us 100 ribeye steaks, frozen ribeye steaks. They'd give us 50 pounds of king crab legs, fresh vegetables, frozen, chicken nuggets by the 25-pound bag, just tons and tons and tons of food. Sliced ham, sliced turkey, roast beef, breads, you name it, they gave us just tons and tons of food. We'd make our phone calls, we'd drive back up. Cool part was, so we had lots of extra food, and what we would do is we'd clean out all the extra stuff out of the freezers to make room for the new food, and extra stuff like butters, breads, fresh vegetables, all the extra food. Me and my buddy Todd Sonic, we'd load them up in the pickup trucks and we'd drive to one of the local towns where this Catholic priest had a poorhouse there and an orphanage, and we would give them all the food and he'd distribute it to the local people. There's actually a couple of lepers there, so yeah, and I'd start going up there. I'd bring them medical supplies and stuff like that. It was probably one of the only deployments where I really spent a lot of time interacting with the local civilians, trying to take care of them and help them, rather than just always trying to figure out reasons to shoot them in the face. Even though God knows I wanted to a lot. But driving around, we're spoiled if you live in a normal country. We have things called concrete and blacktop, paved roads. Haiti, not so much. These roads were all gravel roads, and the potholes were so bad. I mean, they would jar your teeth loose. They really would. You'd be bouncing in this pickup truck. So gravel road, you're in a UN camouflage pickup truck, you're driving. The first week or so, you drove at 35, 40 miles an hour, because that's like the safe speed to drive, because it's jungle on both sides and all of a sudden there's houses. But it's a 1.5 lane gravel road for a 2.5 hour drive. And you just bounce these bad potholes. Well, those of you that have driven on potholed roads before, maybe the guys that have done Baja racing, you know that if you get it up to about 85, 90 miles per hour, your wheels glide over the top of those potholes. So that's usually how we ran around. Broad daylight, we'd be flying down these roads, 80, 85 miles per hour, 1.5 lane road, donkeys walking down the side of the road, and we're just dusting everybody. We're kicking up a plume of dust that could be seen by the International Space Station. It was awesome. But these if you came by about 10 o'clock in the morning, though, the roads were smooth because first thing in the morning, all the unemployed men would get out there with their shovels and they would fill in the potholes, smooth them out, and then they'd stand there. When you drove by, they'd hold their hand out because they wanted you to pay them for patching the same 9 potholes that's in front of his house. They literally would get mad because you wouldn't pay them. I mean, you just wanted to... there wasn't a lot of other vehicles on the road outside the UN. There's some from time to time, but one thing you would see a lot of are dump trucks, big dump trucks. Now remember, there's 1.5 lane road, so whenever you came up on a dump truck, if you had to pass it or whatever, or if it's coming this way, you'd have to get off the road because those drivers, they're not getting out of your way. Now they don't call them dump trucks over there, they call them a tap-tap. Why do they call it a tap-tap, Susan? I appreciate you asking. They call it a tap-tap because this guy's got to pay for gas for his dump truck. So what he does is as he drives his dump truck, people hold out their thumb to get a ride, he will stop, and if they pay him a couple coins, he lets them ride in the back of the dump truck. And whenever that person would get to their destination, he would tap on the top of the dump truck and the dump truck would stop and they'd jump off. So these are like, picture it as an Uber, but they'd pack 30, 60, 100 people in the back of a tap-tap. How many people can you fit in the back of a dump truck? One more. No matter how many you got in it, you can always fit one more. And I mean it when I say that. There'd be guys actually standing on the hood of the dump truck holding onto the windshield because there's literally no room in the back of the dump truck. These tap-taps would drive by and there'd be chickens and goats hung upside down on the side of the dump truck because they were originally riding in the back of the dump truck, but when there wasn't enough room for them, they'd hang them over the side upside down. These are live goats and chickens hanging upside down, just banging against the side of the vehicles as the tap-tap drove down the road. I love this thing. Okay, this is normal. This is Haiti. Okay, whatever. You always had lots of little vignettes, little stories, be bored to death. I wish I could say something great happened in Haiti, but at the same time you want to say that it was just a boring deployment. We didn't do anything, we didn't kill anybody, didn't really help anybody. But that just wouldn't be so. There's so many. I talk about combat is hilarious. Deployments are hilarious. My life is it's a full-blown train wreck filled with 10-minute segments of pure jackassery that are hilarious. Haiti was no different. Remember I said I had my little aid station set up, and part of that would be like field sanitation, so like the rats and stuff. I would put out rat traps and poisons and everything. So like I put out all these rat traps and then to kill off all the rats because these rats are as big as my dog. And a couple of guys got pissed at me like, Carl, why are you killing our chickens? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I went outside and we had all these wild chickens and I'd put out like 5 rat traps, big rat traps, put a little bit of peanut butter to bait the rats. And I go out there and there's my 8 rat traps and they've all got dead chickens in them. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know chickens like peanut butter as much as rats do. So I went, all right, no more rat traps. And I went back to using rat poison. Turns out chickens love the taste of rat poison too. Just little things like that. I didn't know. I didn't know any better. But my Captain Muggio, he came in one day and he said, hey, Carl, you got an extra bottle of shampoo? Yeah, I brought 3-4 bottles with me, so I gave him a bottle of shampoo. He's going to use a little bit, right? He's staying at the other side. Never brought it back to me, never got that bottle back. Okay, no big deal. He needed a bottle. He asked me for another bottle like a week later. Okay, here's another one. Well, I'm smart. Next time I went down to Cap Haitian, I bought a whole case of it because I don't want to run out. I stocked up soap. Captain came back again and asked for another bottle of shampoo. what the hell is he doing? And so I watched him. He got the bottle of shampoo, Suave, Strawberry Suave. It's like $1.99 for a quart of this stuff. He goes out, jumps in the UN pickup truck, and just starts driving down the hill. I'm OJ, my buddy OJ Bailey, total nutcase. I'm like, hey, come on, OJ, grab your blaster. We went everywhere with our rifles, pistols. Right, come on. So anyways, we drive down. About 10 minutes later, we drive down to the river, and Captain Muggio he's parked near the river. He's sitting on the hood of pickup truck, leaning against the windshield, hands behind his head, just giggling, smiling away. And I look out in the river, and there's 5 or 6 Haitian women out there butt-ass naked in knee-deep water bathing. That was his thing. He liked to watch naked black women bathe, and they liked to smell like Strawberry Suave. So they were both helping each other out. Okay, not bashing them. That's Special Forces ingenuity for you. It didn't cost him a dime, didn't cost the taxpayers a dime, and he helped clean up the public and got his rocks off at the same time. I mentioned that we were in GRDN. GRDN is a town way, way, way up north. And back then we didn't have a lot of satellite radios to communicate. So how did we communicate with Cap Haitian, where the main base was? I appreciate you asking. How we did it, because there was a mountain in the way. Most radios are line of sight. The signal won't go through the mountains. You have to get your signal over the top of the mountains. How do you do that? What you do is you put what's called a repeater. You actually put 2 radios up on top of the mountain, and you hook them together. And what you do is, our radio here talks to this radio, and it immediately transmits. It's receiving on this radio, and it transmits on this one down to where the Cap Haitian base was. So we could sit at our base way, way up on the mountain, transmit, bounce our signal via that higher mountain back down Cap Haitian. Great signal. Now the problem with that was, again, there's no electricity. So about every 3 days, we had to have somebody walk up the mountain and change the batteries. We had a big metal box up there, and like 4 padlocks on it. It's chained down to the ground, because they would steal everything that's not nailed down. You'd have to walk up there with your little backpack full of batteries. You get up there with the keys, unlock the box, and see, I'm having post-traumatic stress here, because I actually walked all the way up there once, got to the top, went to go unlock the box, and realized I'd forgot the keys back at the safe house. Yeah, 6 hours of walking pissed away. Anyways, my first time going up the mountain to change the batteries, I'm going up the trail, and there's this little hut right out of Gilligan's Island, a little grass hut. It's made out of palm branches, and beat up, nasty. And I walked by this, and I was like, this is an abandoned, I mean, I'm actually thinking, this is just like the buildings that they lived in Gilligan's Island. I'm thinking that like some high school kids or kids built this as a fort to play in. We go up, we come back down. Well, the next time I go back up, there's this 800-year-old guy. He's building right next to it. I'm like, okay, he's fixing this shack up. That's cool. Right? Mud floor. It's the shack from Gilligan's Island. Go down. I come back up 3 or 4 more days later, and he is proud of this thing. He built an identical thing, about the size of a handicapped outhouse. He built his new house right next to the beat up one. And I want this to sink in now, okay? Let me put it in Carl's perspective. My ancestors, okay, when they first landed on Plymouth Rock, literally, all right, when they landed on Plymouth Rock, that first winter, that first year, it was rough. They lived in a grass hut. They lived in something just like what Gilligan lived in. And that's what they lived in. And instead of making a new one every year, they improved it. They replaced the sticks and grass with logs and mud. They packed it. Then they made better ones. shingles on the roof. Now, I was taught when you do survival, you start with that basic survival lean-to, and you improve your position, you improve your shelter every day. And I actually asked the old 10th group survival instructor once, okay, if I improve it every day, when do you stop? When is it good enough? And he told me you stop improving your survival shelter when you have a 2-story house with a 3-car garage. Now that's funny, but I want you to think about that. The Pilgrims, let me go back to the Pilgrims again. By their 3rd year there, they had 2-story houses, wood-burning stoves, they had fences to keep in their livestock. They kept improving their position, their house. Here it is 1994, and this guy every year builds a new 1-room house right next to his last 1-room house. He builds it the exact same size. And I don't have a racist bone in my body. I don't care if you're black or green or purple or plaid. No. But if you're a dumbass, I'll call you a dumbass. There's a bunch of fucking monkeys in the world that they can barely hold on to the correct end of a gun. I got that. But these are some people over there in Haiti that I immediately didn't have much sympathy for. This guy was not improving his life at all, was completely content with living with a dirt floor and a 1-room hut. Okay, fine. And we're worried about the elections. Okay, whatever. Some of our other good stories we had, remember, we're always driving on this gravel road. Well, my buddy Todd, we go driving down the mountain. I'm actually in a different vehicle than Todd, and I remember passing, there's this donkey coming up the mountain, and this donkey was loaded down with, you ever seen them pack a lot of sticks and stuff on a donkey? They pack them on both sides, and then they go real high on top. Now picture a cartoon of you overloading that donkey with firewood and sticks and stuff. Remember, up on the mountain, there ain't nothing up there. You got to get down in the jungle to get all this dead wood. So this donkey is loaded down so much, he's hobbled, right? He's walking slow up the mountain. We drive past him, we're going down. And you get further down, and behind the donkey is this little old lady. She's probably 60. She looks like she's 100. And on her back, she's got a little wooden L frame, and that she's wearing it on her back. And she's got firewood packed, all these sticks and twigs. It had to be 6 feet above her head, 6 feet above her head, sticking out 3 feet. She's been over, the thing had to weigh 100 pounds, every bit of it. We're going down, and the whole time I'm guilty because I'm riding in a pickup truck. Back of it's completely empty. We go down, we take care of business. We're coming back, and this time it's my turn to have my truck in front, so I'm not eating all of Todd's dust. So we come up the hill, and we pass the, now remember, we've been gone for like 6 hours. We drove all the way to Cap Hayes, and we came back. This little old lady, she's probably a quarter mile from the top of the mountain. Quarter mile from the top. It took her 6 hours to walk up. And we pass her, she's still moving. I'm thinking, this woman's tough. She is tough. Pass her, and you get to the donkey. The donkey's about 100 feet in front of her. Our pickup truck goes by, and I noticed Todd's pickup truck stops right next to the donkey. Stops right next to the donkey. And we had this mace, military mace, like police would use on crowds. It's like pepper spray, but it's like the surface of the sun. He has this little green thing of mace, and he leans out and he sprays this donkey right in the face. And this donkey goes, and starts running down the mountain, runs right past the little old lady. Sticks start falling. This donkey runs all the way down the mountain. Sticks flying everywhere. That little old lady looked up the hill at us, And you could just tell the look at her ass. If her arms weren't holding all those sticks, she would have flipped us the bird. Anyway, she just turned around and started walking right back down the mountain to go get her donkey. Yeah. Todd probably shouldn't have done that. I didn't do it. Todd did it, not me. Sorry, Todd, I had to throw you under the bus. Lots of little stories like that. You get the religion over there. Everybody associates Haiti with voodoo, all right? Bones through the nose, shaking chicken bones and shit. Fine, whatever. So I'm asking Joel and everyone, we're asking, and it turns out they're all Catholics. Okay, but you just said everybody just went to a voodoo ceremony. Well, yeah, voodoo's real. Hear me out. Serious as a heart attack, they believe Catholics, the Catholic Church, and voodoo goes together. They really do. It's one and the same religion. And I'm not making this up. So they would hold voodoo ceremonies. We even paid to have one to bless all of our guns and these souvenir like death masks that we bought from the locals made out of mahogany. They were awesome. I don't have any hanging up in here. I think they're all in my mother-in-law's attic. We had a voodoo ceremony done. I actually videotaped the whole thing. It's hilarious. Lay out the whole chalk pentagrams and fires and witch doctor shit. Crazy, full-blown hilarious. And I say witch doctor because a lot of the people would, instead of going to the regular hospitals, they would go to the voodoo doctor. Okay, fine, whatever. I thought that was stupid, but fine, whatever. But where it really stuck to me was, remember I said a lot of the locals would be at our safe house they'd be trying to steal stuff because we had everything they didn't. And we had a bunch of bicycles, and we had this one kid who was always trying to steal shit, He was a little punk. I just wanted to shoot him right in the face, but he was just like I was when I was a kid, and they're all dirt poor, so whatever. But I come outside one day, and this little kid, he's trying to steal one of our bicycles, and he sees me, and he turns and hauls ass, trying to push the bike. The bike locks up and stops. He falls down, and remember, they have very poor nutrition over there, very malnourished. He falls and shatters his radial ulnar right above his wrist. It's an injury called a fouche, a fall on outstretched arm. So I'm the doctor in town on the hill. So Joel brings this kid in. He's crying. He's scared because he thinks I'm going to shoot him in the face. No, he's just a kid. He's just a kid. But so anyways, I had all kinds of medical equipment. I do just like what you're supposed to do. Set it best I can to make sure he's still got a pulse. Now, if you're going to splint something like that, you want the hand to be in an anatomical position. Real easy, Sam splint on the bottom. You put a rolled up ace wrap for him to actually hold his hand around, and then you splint the bottom. I took a nice OD green triangular bandage and made a nice sling to hold his arm, and gave him some Tylenol and everything. And I brought Joel over because Joel's my best interpreter there, and I'm like, all right, look, here's the deal. Here's $20, my own money, all right? Tell him to take this $20, because I thought about driving him down to Cap Haitian. We weren't planning on going for like a week. Piss on that. That's a whole day trip. I got shit to do. So take this $20. And actually, he brought his mom. I had Joe go get his mom, and I had him translate to the kid's mom. Son's got a broken arm. I said it, but here's $20. Take him to the hospital. Make sure they do an x-ray and make sure they set it properly and that they put a cast on it. If you have any questions at all, let me know. The mom's nodding her head. She's hugging me. She's crying because her baby's got a broken arm. She's thanking me so much for taking care of her. Made sure Joel understood. So anyways, I don't see the kid for a day or two. I'm feeling good about myself. I helped this kid out, right? Splinted his arm. Surely he's at home in a cast right now, drinking Kool-Aid, eating Slurpees. I see him 2 days later running around. And I'm looking, and he's got that arm. It's not in a sling. Matter of fact, he's got this like green piece of tape right here. That's you don't tape an arm. So I grab Joel. I'm like, hey, stop that kid. Bring him over. So I bring him over. It's not green tape. It's my triangular bandage, my sling. And I'm getting pissed off. I'm like, dude, where's his cast? Blah, 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 blah. And it's tied with a square knot right on top. I mean, it's tied tight. So I untie the square knot, and as soon as I start unwrapping it, there's like leaves and all kinds of shit in there. And I'm getting pissed off. I'm like, this mom is, just not taking care of her child. And so I asked Joel what happened, and he's trying to calm me down. He's like, Carl, you asked me how much for him to go to the hospital to get x-ray and get a cast on his arm. I told you $20. I'm like, yeah, duh, I gave you $20. Yes, but the mom took him to the witch doctor, the voodoo doctor. And I'm like, what fucking bullshit? And he's, Carl, calm down. It's $20 to go to the regular hospital, but if he goes to the voodoo doctor, it's only $5. I gave her $20. Yes, but $5 is Patch's arm. That's $15 she can now use to feed the rest of her family. And I thought about that, and I was like, so anyways, I checked his arm. It turns out that how the guy had tied it, he had the bones pretty well stabilized. He really did. And all the leaves and flowers and everything, I understand that's all that voodoo shit, but it didn't have any broken skin, so I wasn't really worried about infection getting in there from all the, who knows what kind of butt crack shit this voodoo doctor put on there. And it was splinted, and he did have a distal pulse. So is it going to heal a little crooked? Possibly. Is it going to heal strong? Probably not. And it clicked in my head, when you're riding through towns, you see people with bent legs and shit, and now I know how that happens. It's because instead of going and getting a real cast, they were going to the voodoo doctor, and he was splinting them with twigs and leaves and shit. So that was my experience with voodoo doctors. He accomplished the task, and not to American standards at any way, but that said, I did learn a little bit more about guerrilla medicine by interacting with these doctors from time to time. They're funny shit. As far as combat, every once in a while we would get a complaint. There's a guy strong arming people, robbing them at gunpoint up at this one town, one of our like 9 towns that we had to patrol. And this guy had a gun, and he's threatening people to shoot him. We finally tracked the guy down, and we've all got M4s pointed at this guy. And finally, he puts his hands up, and we go and take his, because he had this big, you could see the handle of his revolver sticking out of the top of his pants. And we go, his hands up. Somebody goes to grab his pistol. It was the handle off of a pistol. He didn't even have a real pistol. Let that sink in. All these people that were complaining for the UN to come and protect them because this guy is holding them at gunpoint. He had the handle of a gun. He didn't have a knife, he didn't have an axe, he didn't have a sword, he didn't have a machine gun. He had a handle of a pistol, and they immediately just succumbed to this guy like a couple of sheep. Craziness. Another time we're riding along, one of the groups that was working over there was a battalion of infantry from Pakistan. We called them Pakbat. This Pakistani, if you've ever been around Pakistanis, they're about 5 foot tall, little itty bitty guys. And again, not very well fed. But they were happy to be there because they're wearing the UN patch, the UN beret, and they're making $1,000 a day. So they love doing this stuff. And they're friendly guys, great guys. We get along great with them. And we would bump into them every now and then, and they were very friendly towards us. We'd always say hi to them and everything. So anyways, we got a report that there was a riot happening up in one of these cities, one of these towns that was on our route. And apparently it was a bad riot. Like the locals were really losing their minds, threatening to kill local politicians, whatever. And we raced up there to we loaded up in the pickup trucks, and we got guns and everything. We go heading up there, and we also heard over the radio that PAC-BAT was going to respond also. Okay, cool. So we get up there. We literally pull into town, and this town is a square. They basically got 4 roads that go around. All right, and we pull into the one intersection on one side, same time PAC-BAT does, and we get out of the trucks. Now there's only 8 of us, 8 Americans. We got our little blue baseball hats on, and we got our M4s. We're not really set up for a mob, but PAC-BAT shows up, and they get out, and they have got these big clear riot shields. They got their helmets with their clear face masks, and they've got their batons, their wooden clubs for beating people. They got 2 truckloads of these people, and we can hear the rioters, we can hear the mob. It's on like off the side road, kind of towards the other side. So we're like, all right, hey, let's join forces together. So we're talking to the PAC-BAT commander, and we're like, all right, we'll have to leave a guy back here. And he said, no, you do not need to. I will leave my guy back to watch the trucks. And I guess he had one guy, we called him Lurch. I don't know what his real name was. Lurch had to be every bit of 6'1", 6'2", so he's about an inch or 2 taller than me. You know how I have a 4 head? This guy had like a 5 head or a 6 head. I mean, big. You could tell this guy had some mental issues going on, but we called him Lurch. He wasn't quite as bright as the rest of them, let's put it that way. They left Lurch back to guard the trucks, and okay, fine. So anyways, we start moving, we haul ass, and we turn the first corner, and we're like, no mob, but we can hear them, they're up in front of us. Okay, so we start moving again, and we turn the next corner, and they're not there, they're up, and what's happening is we're going clockwise around, well, so's the mob. So I mean, we're getting tired. Finally, we turn the 3rd corner, and same thing, we just start to see the mob. And as we start hauling ass again, we're like, dude, we're tired and everything. By now, we're walking. Well, we turn the corner, we get back to where all of our trucks are, and we hear all this yelling and screaming and everything. We come running up, and Lurch is standing there, and he's just no hat, no club. He's soaking wet with sweat. He's got one of the big riot shields, the clear riot shields that says Policy on it. He's holding on to the ends of this thing, and he's swinging it like a book or like a frying pan, and he has got guys laid out all over the ground in a circle around him. I mean, out cold. He's just wearing these son of a guns out. He's got them laid out like it's a Jackie Chan movie or a Bruce Lee movie. There's just bodies laying everywhere. We go running over there. There's like 3 guys left. And as soon as they see us, they all take off. This Lurch was wore out. It was hilarious to watch. But I guess his last standing order was to guard the trucks. And when they saw the trucks there with just one guy, the mob figured this was an easy target. They were going to go trash our vehicles. Lurch had other plans for him. I guess he hit some of them with his wooden baton until it broke. That's a small baseball bat, by the way. And after that broke, he just started slinging them around, hitting them with his helmet, and then after that, using the riot shield to beat these boys down. I wish I could say it wasn't funny. You're right, it wasn't funny. It was full-blown hilarious. We had a couple good days, a couple days off. We actually went to his place. It was called the Citadel. It was built up on top of this mountain, another mountain. We had to drive about an hour to get there. It was built back in the time of Napoleon, and it was a way, I want to say it was the Spanish or somebody, for them to overwatch and see that whole part of the ocean, basically. The cannons, everything, it's all, of course, it's all run down, it's ruins. It's kind of like going to visit the ruins of a castle in Ireland or somewhere. You know, obviously it's just the ruins. You got old rusted out cannons laying there, cannonballs and stuff. But the funny part was, even though it was just the ruins, it was still the best built building in the entire country. And you start learning the history of Haiti, and my interpreters are telling me about it. Apparently there was a time where everybody in Haiti was subjugated, and I don't remember whether it was the Spanish or the French or Portuguese. Forgive me, I'm not up on my world history. But the Haitians actually rebelled, and they killed every white person on the island. All of them, killed everybody. Good for them, good for them. Overthrow the oppressor. Years later, some missionaries came in and built plantations and schools and started really helping the Haitians out again. And I remember these are missionaries. And but they had a second uprising. It was one group against another group, and apparently they had to take it out on somebody, so they killed every white person on the island again. Wow, you're killing all the people that are there to help you. That stuck in my head also. I mentioned that we could go down to Cap Haitian, drive all day in the truck, bouncing on dirt roads to go call home to my family. Now, I missed Christmas there. I actually filmed a little video for Christmas. I actually just watched it the other day and mailed that home. But I'm sitting there feeling homesick, of course, and O.J. Bailey, my Camo guy, you'd love O.J. You'd love O.J. Blonde hair, looks like he's a surfer dude out of L.A. O.J. comes in and he goes, "Hey, Carl, come on, let's go call the wives." His wife and my wife were friends. Allison's his wife, Dana's my wife. He's like, "Let's go call Allison and Dana." I'm like, man, he said, "Oh, come on. Okay, so I go outside. I'm thinking we're going to get in a pickup truck and we're going to drive for 5 hours. No, not at all. Not at all. We actually go, he picks up one of his radios, and we walk out in the middle of the jungle. I mean, like out in the middle of the jungle. And he's like, "You got your canteen?" I'm on my vest. Yeah, I got my canteen. He's like, "Hey, give me one of your canteens." Okay, so he takes my canteen and some 550 cord to it, throws it through a fork in a tree, and he sends his antenna about 40 feet up in the air. Okay, fine, he's getting on the radio, no big deal, that's what Camo guys do. He starts playing with the dials, and he's, calling some guy's name. Well, he gets this guy on the radio, and it sounds like you talk on the radio, but he's talking to some of the shortwave operators back in the States. And serious as a heart attack, these guys, we gave them the phone number to my wife, my house. This old retired guy, shortwave operator, dialed my wife, got her on the phone, and then he held the radio up against the phone, and basically we were just told when we were done talking to say over, and he would click the radio the other way so that she could transmit to me, and then when I was done talking, he'd push the button in so she could talk, and I talked to my wife via radio, via another radio, to a guy holding the radio to a telephone back to Kentucky, and that was an awesome day I'll never forget. That was years before cell phones and internet and sat phones and satellite radios. It was before all that, and it was just awesome that this network of old Camo guys from World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, these guys all, so, and the reason why I'm saying that, if you've got that one nut neighbor that's got the big shortwave antenna in his yard and his hobby is radio equipment, don't give him a hard time, man, because that guy was awesome. He was really awesome. One of the things you guys ask me a lot about, you see my green beret over here, right? One thing that I thought was cool was, remember they're Catholics, of voodoo, right? It's the jungle, it's nasty. So one of my trips driving along, I noticed that the graves are like the above ground ones down in New Orleans. They're crypts basically above ground, marble, concrete, whatever it is. The weird part, not like New Orleans, is on top of some of the graves were human skulls. And I'm like, so finally I asked Joel, I'm like, hey, what's up with this? And he said, when you have a funeral for your father, for example, you bring him to the family grave, the family crypt, you open the door, you take grandfather out, and you put dad in, and then you put grandfather's skull on top of the grave, and then you throw the rest of grandfather's bones out into the jungle, and they're absorbed back into nature. So what about if dad has a car wreck like a week after grandfather dies? You pull grandfather, who's a week old, out of the crypt, you put dad in, and you sit grandfather's meat-covered skull on top of the grave, and I'm like, I got to call bullshit here because I never saw that, and I've driven by lots of it. And he said, no, Carl, the ants quickly clean all the meat off of the bone. Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind. So anyways, you guys know how much I like skulls. I just figured I'd share that little bit of Haitian trivia with you. So anyways, fast forward, it was time for us to actually leave. We got told, all right, we're done with your A-team in Haiti. You've pacified the whole area. Time for us to go home. Now remember, the place we're staying is being rented from this priest, teacher, whatever it was, by a scuba team. And we had take his stove out because his stove was terrible. We brought in our own gas stove. We added a hot water heater. We had generators, all this stuff. Well, the UN wanted certain stuff back when we closed down that safe house. We had this huge list. We had to bring home the generator. We had to bring home the water heater. We had to bring home our stove. But for the most part, all the improvements we had done to this guy's house was, we're going to leave for this guy. Now, what do I mean by improvements? The electricity didn't work. So basically, when the scuba team got there, they started improving the place. When we got there, we kept improving it. For example, where all the glass was missing on all the windows, we put up mosquito netting, screens on all the windows. We ripped out all the electrical in the thing and put up new 2 standard electrical. We hung lights, everything. I mentioned we added a hot water heater, better gas, painted some rooms, cleaned everything. So anyways, when we got ready to leave, the locals got word that we were getting ready to leave. And they're watching us pack up all of our gear and everything, and they're already trying to steal our shit, and we haven't even left yet. Now, I had this slingshot, little arm brace on. It's called a wrist rocket, and I brought a big thing of ball bearings with me, and I caught one guy, I think it was a lady, actually trying to steal some shit. So I took my ball bearing and I wore her out, caught her right in the thigh with the ball bearing. She went running off. And so anyways, I had one of our little houseboys, one of the little kids, not the one with the broken arm, but one of his buddies. One of the older ones, I want to say he was like 14, 15, gave him the slingshot. And, we told him, hey, we'll give you 10 American dollars, 10 nice crisp $10 U.S. currency if you will keep everybody from stealing till we get ready to leave. So, and I gave him the whole jar of ball bearings. Now, there's 5 people out there, adults, then there's 10, then there's 15, then there's 20, and he's just lighting these people up with these ball bearings. It's hilarious. Now we knew these people. The priest wasn't going to be back for a while, so we're like, look, we're not waiting. We're leaving. We have to be out of here by sunset. We're going. So I took my video recorder and I actually went all through the thing and videotaped everything, showing how everything was still in working order. The windows, everything was still perfect. And we come outside. Well, I'm like one of the last guys out of the building, getting ready to get on back of the truck. And our interpreters, a couple of them we had fired, and they're out there in the crowd. They're waiting to get into that place. And they are so pissed at this guy we gave the $10 bill to because he's wearing them out. I mean, they're pissed at this boy bad. So anyways, I'm on the back of the truck, me and OJ, the trail truck, and to guard, because we knew all this stuff piled in the back of the pickup truck. If we weren't in the back, they were going to jump in the back of the truck and just start throwing stuff out. I mentioned the word monkeys, didn't I? I remember to this day, as our pickup truck started to pull away, the crowd descending on the kid with the slingshot with sticks and clubs and rocks. And it was right out of a movie, just a pile on, and just the arms going up and down with weapons. They beat that kid down, beat him down. It was hilarious. I hope he died. I really do. So as we get down to Cap Haitian, we turn in all the gear, and turns out our plane's not for like 2 more days. Okay, what's there to do? Sit on this base, twiddle our thumbs. Well, it turns out Haiti has a resort. You can look it up, right? Like a resort. Yeah, like, come on, Carl, we're going to the beach. Now, I've been to the beaches in Haiti. The dump trucks, the garbage trucks that pick up the trash and the feces and everything else, they back up to the pier and they dump directly into the ocean. So there was a scuba team, some SEALs that actually went scuba diving out there, and they came back all covered with funguses, all tore up. The water's just super polluted. So when they said go to the beach, I was like, no, bullshit, hell with that. Come on, Carl, come on. So anyways, we ride and we get to this, it's a fence, a wooden fence. It has to be 20 feet high. They open the gate and they bring us in, they close it behind us, and you go inside and it's like you're in a different country. It was a resort. I mean, there was literally a white cruise liner, right? You could see out there in the water about a quarter mile out, anchored. It was a European resort. There were people, the guys were in the little Speedos, the women had their little bikinis on, they're sitting there in their lounge chairs, they got coconuts with umbrellas in them, and there's guys renting scuba gear, and they got jet skis, and there's people out swimming, there's people tanning. What? This is the same country. Why? Because you can do great things anywhere. You just got to choose to do it. And they were making money off it. So anyways, I had one great day there. I got to spend some time on the beach. No, I did not get in the ocean. I drank my fair share of alcohol with little umbrellas. I enjoyed my time there, and we went back to the base. The next day we loaded up, we drove back down to Cap Haitian, again with just our gear, and the whole way you're driving, just $1. That's how you wave in Haiti. That's how you greet somebody when they're driving down the road. You say just $1, just $1. Give me just $1. That's how you say hello to people. We got down there, same thing. They're wanting to sell us trinkets and steal your shit the whole time. Our C-130 cargo plane with the 4 props comes in, and we're sitting there right at the last minute. We're loading up our gear, getting ready to get on the plane. This little Jeep pulls up, and this guy in a American uniform, turns out it's a general, I guess the general in charge of all the American troops in Haiti, walks up, and we're literally starting to walk out to the plane, and he walks up and shakes my hand and gives me a medal, gives me a little United Nations service medal. And then the next guy shook his hand, gave him a medal. And I couldn't hear a damn word he was saying because of the roar of the props on the C-130, and I didn't care what he wanted to say because I know my ass was going to get onto that airplane. Got on the plane with my UN medal. It's actually sitting on the shelf right over here. When y'all do your man room tour, you'll see it. I couldn't tell you which one it is. You'd have to look it up by color. I got 22 ribbons. I have no idea which one's which. Don't care. They're not worth anything. Got on the plane, flew all the way back, landed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. My new bride was there. We'd only been married 2-3 years, and got home, and we had talked on the way that she had decided it'd been long enough. She decided she could be married to a Green Beret long enough. We could make this work. So we had put off having children until we decided whether we could keep this marriage going or not. And she made the decision, I can stay with you forever. Let's have kids. So anyways, she was pregnant about 20 minutes later. 9 months later, gave birth to my son, Nicholas, quickly followed by Isabella, and the rest is history. So anyways, now when you see the patch, you'll know Carl does not keep this thing here because he had a great time in Haiti. I did have a time in Haiti. I hope you enjoyed my story time with Carl for the month of February. I will never go back to Haiti, not unless they fence it all in and make it a big game preserve for hunting. Then I might go there. Anyways, thank you so much for your continued support, for being a patron, helping to keep my world alive. Anyways, I hope to talk to you all next week. I'm going to film the question and answer video, and then later on in the month, we're going to do our live stream video. Again, thanks again for the support. Y'all take care. Shoot straight.